South of Brno, on the Austrian border, the Czech town of Mikulov occupies a strategic location on the former trade route between Vienna and Brno. Numerous Jews settled here and inhabited the western slope of Castle Hill. The town's main road led to the Jewish district. Later, side roads were added and the original timber-built buildings were replaced by those of brick. There were 12 synagogues, numerous houses of prayer, and a study room. The ruling Liechtensteiner were conscious of the economic contribution made by the town's Jewish population. Thus, for 3 centuries, Mikulov became the center of the Moravian Jews. Around the middle of the 19th century, the Jewish ghetto contained 317 buildings. Here, the Jews quietly observed their religious ceremonies. Today, the renovated synagogue is the last surviving one in Moravia and is typical of Polish Baroque design. The synagogue and around 90 buildings have been preserved and, due to their design, have become splendid cultural monuments. The most precious monument of those days is the Jewish cemetery that was founded in the 15th century. It contains approximately 4,000 tombs. Magnificent Renaissance and Baroque monuments highlight the final resting place of past public figures. Such as that of wonderful Rabbi Mordecai ben Abraham Binet. The Jewish mikveh dipping bath is located in a cellar. For ritual purification by way of immersion, there was a pool with fresh water. Mikulov is also known as Town of Monuments. The historic old town beneath the castle contains magnificent buildings with graffiti facades, including the corner house to the Knights. There are also buildings from the Renaissance and Baroque periods and facades in unmistakable classical and Secession style. The imposing Renaissance castle rises picturesquely above the town. This once royal castle guarded the country's border. In 1249, Przemysl Ottokar III assigned the town and the castle to the Styrian family Liechtenstein in gratitude for their support. In 1560, the Liechtensteiners sold everything to Hungarian aristocrats. And in 1575, Emperor Maximilian II passed the town as a fiefdom to the Dietrichsteiner. In the course of time, the castle was gradually extended and additional bastions were built, as well as a castle fortress. It was under Cardinal Franz of Dietrichstein that the castle underwent extensive transformation into a royal Renaissance residence. In the castle's vaulted cellar is the largest wine barrel in Central Europe. It can hold 1,010 hectolitres of wine. It was the Anabaptists, pursued as heretics, who sought refuge here in the 16th century and created a prosperous wine industry. From the central tower, the town could be surveyed and defended. It's a well-preserved part of the original castle. From here, the buildings and church tower seem to be close enough to touch, as the old town was built around Castle Hill. In 1575, when Cardinal Franz von Dietrichstein began expensive modifications to the castle, he gave prime importance to prestigious rooms, which are now used for exhibition purposes. A fine portrait gallery displays the ancestors of the Dietrichsteiner. The town hall chair can be viewed, as well as an ancestral portrait gallery and various items of furniture. In 1727, the theatre building was improved and became the historical library of the Dietrichsteiner. Original Baroque armoires contain 11,000 priceless books. In 1645, during the 30 Years' War, Sweden invaded and ransacked the library. Next, they set fire to the castle and looted its stocks of wine. In the 18th century, 3 fires caused extensive damage, but situated between its vineyards, the late Gothic appearance of this rebuilt town has managed to survive to the present day.